Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ground and Pound Podcast Best Bets video for UFC Fight Night. Dolidze taking on Hernandez. And as always, we got to talk money lines, props, and parlays. And if you're enjoying the content here on the Ground and Pound Podcast, hit that like and subscribe button as we talk about the slam of the week, the parlay that I put the most money on, looking to try to get you guys as close to even money as possible. And to kick things off for the slam of the week, we have Gene Matsumoto. I like him here wherever this fight goes. I think Gene Matsumoto is an impressive fighter, still very, very young. He can get it done with the grappling. He can get it done with the striking. His conditioning is good. And I think that this is a step down in competition here against a guy like Miles Johns. He tends to be a little bit low volumes. Johns does on the feet, throwing one shot at a time. I think if Gene Matsumoto wants to get the finish here, I think that he definitely can. Mixing in the shots upstairs and to the body, ripping the lead leg, wherever Gene Matsumoto wants to take this fight, I feel confident in him for the first leg here of our slam of the week. And for our second leg, we're going with Steve Erceg. Ode Osborne stepping in on short notice here. And I think that Erceg needs to get back in the win column, and I think he can do that with his grappling. We've seen with Ode Osborne in the past that he's struggled when it comes to fighting off the submissions and fighting off the grappling of his opponent. I think if Steve Erceg comes in, mixes in some grappling, he can take the back of Ode Osborne and find the choke. And what Ode Osborne tends to do when he's taken down is rush to get back to his feet, give up his back, and get choked. And I think that would be a good path to victory here for Steve Erceg. Obviously, Erceg can strike. No doubt he is very competent in the striking. You see that even in the Brandon Moreno loss. However, I think Ode Osborne does have a decent amount of speed in terms of the striking, which could catch Steve Erceg, especially early, like Kai Car-France did. Let's wrestle here, Steve Erceg. Let's get the grappling going, and let's find the submission for the second leg of our slam of the week. And for the third leg, we have Elijah Smith here, and I like him here by KO or decision. We've seen with Kazama, he is a decent grappler. He has a very decent back takes, good submissions, but he is very chinny. And I do think that the boxing here of Elijah Smith is going to be enough for him to get the victory. I think he's most likely going to get the knockout, but we're going to go with the decision prop here as well, the double method KO or decision here, just so that way if the fight does go long, if Kazama does tend to be a little bit more durable than we've seen in the past, it'll save us here for the third leg of our slam of the week. That rounds out minus 108. Looking to try to get you guys plus money every week. Unfortunately, it was a little bit tough with some of these favorites, but this week's slam of the week right there in front of you. Looking to make it now 9 of our last 12, currently 8 of our last 11. So looking to keep that momentum rolling for the bet that puts the money in the pockets here on the Ground and Pound Podcast. And for our chalk parlay this week, which is some of our heavy favorites that you see on this card thrown together to give you guys even money, we have Christian Leroy Duncan by KO or decision here. I think he's the much more competent striker here against Eric, your boy, Anders. I think Anders is going to mix in the grappling, mix in the wrestling. I think Duncan's going to do a good job of keeping this one on the feet and ultimately winning this fight with the striking. I think he's the much better athlete, he has better hand speed, and I think overall this fight's just going to come down to his ability to mix in the striking much better and do more damage on the feet. We're going to take him KO or decision here. I don't think he's necessarily going to look for a submission. I think he's just going to be Anders up with the striking for 3 straight rounds, or maybe even find a KO late if Anders does get tired from the grappling. And for the second leg, we have Jocelyn Edwards here, money line. I like this one wherever it goes for Jocelyn Edwards. I think if she mixes in the grappling, I think she'll have much more success. We've seen with Priscilla Cachoeira in the past, she does have powerful hands, but once she gets taken down, she seems to struggle to get back to her feet, and she's been submitted many a times. Jocelyn Edwards has shown that she can grapple. In one of her previous fights, she got a rear naked choke in the third round. I think it would be a good path to victory here for her to mix in the grappling and look to find the choke. If she wants to keep it on the feet, she's a competent kickboxer. She's obviously got a good chin as well, but I think the path of least resistance here would be mixing in the grappling for Edwards, and she'll round out the second leg here of our chalk parlay. And for the third leg here, we have Gabrielle Fernandez, or Gabby, as I'm calling her this week, Fernandez. I think she's a very, very competent striker here. She only really has to worry about the ground game of Stolyarenko. That's a mouthful. I think Gabby, whatever you want to call her here, I think that she's very competent on the ground, a black belt herself, and she's the much better striker here. She does a good job of mixing in kicks to the body and lead leg. She does a good job of being able to defend off takedowns, and she's very physically strong as well. I think that the striking here, the power is going to be on her side. I like her to get it done here to round out the chalk parlay. Minus 102. Looking to get you guys as close to even money as I can, and that will round out the chalk parlay here for some of these big favorites. And next up, if you guys haven't seen the full highlight reel tape this week, for this week's dog of the week, check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. It's going to be Roman Dolidze in the main event. And I got to talk a little bit about this one before we break down some of the props for our best bets. Roman Dolidze sitting at plus 250 here. If you guys don't want to take the money line, take the plus 5.5. I think it's sitting at something like plus 120. Obviously getting points on the judges' scorecards here for Roman Dolidze, but I'm going to take him here to win the fight outright. I think he does a good job of keeping fights on the feet, using his submissions to be able to, cause scrambles. And I think he's the better striker here against Hernandez. I think he hits harder, more finishing upside. Give me Roman Dolidze here, dog of the week. I'll leave a link in the description for you guys to check out for the full highlight reel tape and a full explanation of why I like him so much here as the dog of the week. And we got to talk props before we wrap things up. And obviously, I do think Gabriel Hernandez wins this fight. However, plus 600 here for Julia Stolyarenko, the armbar queen, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, the black belt of all black belts. And I just think it's crazy that we're getting plus 600 here for a submission prop. She does pull off upsets every now and again. This is more of a value play. Like I said, I do think that Gabriela Hernandez is going to be able to win this fight. However, I think there's value to be had if you like the Stolyarenko side. I think this is how you play it with the plus 600 by submission here. I wouldn't get too fancy with the round. I think if anything, it could be any moment if Gabriel Hernandez decides to mix in grappling. However, there is value to be had here, definitely at plus 600 here for Stolyarenko by submission. And that's all we got time for. And I got to let you guys know what's coming on the channel. A new video this week. We got Dana White's Contender Series, the ultimate job interview of MMA. And Carlos and I are going to be doing a full card breakdown for that video. Check that one out if you're interested. Along with the dog of the week, which is obviously a full highlight reel tape, along with why I like Roman Dolidze here for our underdog of the week. And our full card breakdown for this entire card. UFC Fight Night, Dolidze taking on Hernandez. And as always, if you're enjoying the content here on the Ground and Pound podcast, hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.